This is Good Morning Uganda.
Well, good morning, Uganda. Today is a Tuesday and the 13th of June 2023. My name is Philomena. Mastiko. It's great to have you join us this early morning, but also it's a very special Tuesday, International Albinism Awareness Day. Well, a day created to understand and also to educate ourselves, not just as a country, but as the globe, and to also battle the discrimination that is pushed forwards this special group of people. But away from that, to also notify ourselves and also understand how we can be able to help them, and also to understand that they can actually live their best of lives without any hindrances, but also as a society to be accommodative towards all the needs that they need to ensure that they're comfortable. Well, the main celebrations here in Uganda will be happening in Jinja, and much later on, of course, we'll be happy to have one of our special guests take us through the achievements of the albinos in Uganda here, and also take us through some of the challenges they do come across as, again, a special category of people. But we are celebrating them today. And if you have a friend or you know someone, maybe it's a time for you to actually get to understand them, some of their challenges, relate to them, and find out how they are doing. Well, away from that, a lot is still happening, and of course we'll be taking you through some of all these stories. Myself and Robert Kirabo Nyonyintono here, Mollen, Kenyena, and Felix Nkunda. Speaking of which, Felix, good morning. How are you doing?
Good morning, Philo. How are you?
I'm great. I'm great.
How have you been?
Lovely.
Anything new in the domain of your existence?
There is a lot. Every other day there is a lot that is happening, but I mean, it's so hard to, mention. The list is really endless. But as we go by, I'll be sharing.
Well, of course, Tuesday is another. Trust me, it's much better than Monday.
Oh, yes, it is.
I must be honest, and but I can't miss to mention what happened at National Theatre yesterday. I'll be honest, and I think this is quite unique, and it says a lot about how rewarding it is to be hardworking. I can tell you from the stories we heard about the late Honorable Katoru Bwama, everyone who stood up to say something.
Yes.
It brought us back to the fact that hard work is the best way to live. And majorly, I won't even say a man's life, a man and woman's life, because this may be misunderstood. Honestly, you never get it wrong with hard work and living a full life. Katoru Bwama was only 52, around 52. They said 52, 50 something. And you can imagine how much he had done. He lived a very large life. And that's a big question for all of us who stay behind. How much have we done with our time on earth? What are we doing with our time on earth? Honestly, I listened to very many people. John Segawa, Abe Muchibi, Honorable Nsereko, Maria Mundagire, all of these people who have worked with him. These guys started the hustle as early as in their teens.
Yes.
They're already up to the tasks of the world. They moved places. I remember one of the stories they said, these guys went to Hollywood. I think he was with Honorable Nsereko and Katoru Bwama. And they wanted to see one of the, basically like the manager of Disney. And so Honorable Nsereko thought that by giving in his parliamentary ID would make it a quick pass.
Yes, yes.
You know,
very automated entry.
He's the member of parliament for the capital city. And then the secretary just brought them back and like, no, this person has no time. So what the late did,
yes,
he gave in his card and put a note that Google the name Katoru Bwama. I'm an artist,
yes.
You know, so when the director put, and he did that, he Googled the name Katoru Bwama. So it brought a lot of content.
Yes.
And that's the only way they were able to see. So
whatever they wanted to
exactly.
See. Yes.
And that says a lot about what we do and how, honestly, yesterday I was keen to listen, and if there's anything I took home was, when you choose to be a barber, do that to the best of it. and let the world know you for being.
Isn't that the gospel you have been preaching here on a daily? You may as well be a pro at whatever it is you're doing.
Just be the best at whatever. If you're a sweeper, sweep and let people always remember you. That with that one named Mollen, Robert, whoever, Felix or Philo, like she used to or he used to do this, and let people miss you for what you're passionate about. Like, and most of us get always lost in trying to do everything, yet we are doing nothing.
You're doing a lot, and
as
yet
I always say, we are living in a world where we have lots of busy bees. You find a young man today out of campus, you know, kuyiriba, there's a word called kuyiriba.
Hustling.
There's no definition in kuyiriba. What's your definition? Because what are you going to be remembered for?
Well,
so for me, I think as we send off our brother, our senior, our father, our friend, a mentor for many people, there's a lot that Katoluwama leaves for everyone to learn. And there's something surprising, Philo, just in 1 minute, about these people. These people came from nothing. They didn't go to school like most of us got an opportunity to. But look how big they have become. And that says much about many of the people around his generation.
Yes.
But do you know how they got there? It's because of commitment, discipline, and hard work.
I think whatever they did is the real definition of hustling, away from the kuyiriba of everything.
There's nothing like you can't kuyiriba and make a life. Like it's not a career. Well, kuyiriba can't be a career.
It should be a side hustle or a supporting strategy. Mollen, good morning.
Well, good morning, and good morning, Uganda. Felix is just making us feel like we shouldn't kuyiriba, but I think sometimes you're doing all that, by the way, to find your space, and it takes a while for someone to define what they are passionate about. And usually what you're passionate about doesn't just come to the table. You have to make ends meet so that you get there. So sometimes it's inevitable. You're doing a million things, you're here, there, and there, but you're trying to get the one thing that you really can do. And that's also important. But also adding to Felix's voice, even this morning I passed by the National Theatre.
Yes.
People are still in the
music is
people
crazy.
Are still around.
Yes.
The place is busy. This wee hour of the morning. So I'm like, wow. And by the way, there's also one thing I take away from the life of Katoluwama. Living a life where you're okay, you're living your life, but the humor he put in, like not taking life so serious, being very serious about everything. And people still, loved him for that kind of humor. They loved him for the drama, for everything. So it speaks a lot on how we live, really. There are people who just become so serious. I'm a member of parliament. I don't have to do this. I don't have to be here. At the end of the day, people don't care. And you're just
family,
there.
not for us.
And you're just there, so angry. Everything around you is just angry. But this man showed them that it's okay. You remember Parliament, it's okay to be humorous and all that.
You can be human away from being a parliamentarian.
Exactly.
Yes.
And for me, I did respect him for that, and I'll remember that about him. And I sure hope that we have a lot of people like that can still, inspire that kind of living amidst everything. Every position you're in, you can still be you. You can still be, close to people at whatever level in this country, and that should be really nice. But also, Philomena, I want me to add, it's another day again with President Museveni still in corona quarantine or self-isolation, and we did see still a lot of people are taking messages to the space that was open out.
Very sweet and beautiful messages.
Yeah, at State House. I was actually thinking today I might also pass by and might as well write my message there.
Please don't forget me behind.
Yeah, we should go. We should go. We wish him a quick recovery, and hopefully he gets well soon.
Absolutely. Well, Robert, good morning. Have you left today, or you're waiting for further notices to leave?
Well, morning everybody. Felix has said so much about Katoluwama, and I was like, whew, man, what will he say about me? But anyway.
Find out.
You may ask him after this. You'd really love to hear what you.
But anyway, guys, one thing I learned is be real. Katoluwama was real. most of us, most people live in denial, live in a life of pretense, but this is a man who was real and lived life to the fullest. Second, listening to what various speakers were saying, he knew that a candle loses nothing by lighting another. He lit so many candles, and everyone was talking about this man, how I heard Mariam Dagire sing that song and said it's Katolu Wama who taught me how to do this, a number of people. So he knew that lighting a candle, lighting another loses nothing, but he lived a real life. We should learn to live our real life. Katolu Wama was drummer himself. First he identified who he is. This man, either at 10 or at 1, he had drama over him. He would speak, he would walk, I think he would even dream drama. So he knew who he was and identified himself and gave it its best. But from the late, there's a disturbing story, people yesterday. The Public Relations Officer, Minister of Internal Affairs and Immigration, yesterday came out and said the number of men that go there seeking for DNA services every month, Internal Affairs, because the government analytical lab is under them, though it's at Wandege, opposite public service, but it's under Ministry of Internal Affairs.
Okay.
Yeah, so he was helping people, telling them, don't come here, though it's under us, but it's on a different premise. So go to Wandege, opposite, next to Ministry of Public Service. That's where the government analytical lab is, and they'll be able to do the DNA. But he said the rate is alarming. Men flock there. Every time, he said they have piled monthly, looking at since the year began, and now monthly piling. Every time.
What
I want to ask Felix, because he's the man here. Let me start with Felix.
Yes.
Felix, I do have quite a number of children, and you're a father, but
when you say a number of, yes.
would you take your children for
DNA?
Okay, let me skip that part. Would you take your children for DNA?
Well, circumstances.
No, don't be a counsel here. It's a quick one. Would you take your children for?
It is a painful truth that we have to go through, I'll be honest. But that's why I said circumstances will determine. There are situations where you will want to do that. Because, and that helps avert so many pains, so many that may later on. So you need to, you see, we fear to deal with reality. That's what you want to say, but reality is reality. You get the point.
If you have to, you
have
take
to.
them.
That's what I'm saying. Circumstances. Sometimes it's the bitter truth. I mean, it is what it is.
Now, Mollen, how would you feel?
Where would Mollen go?
How would you feel if this lad came home and said, I want to take our children for DNA?
But I don't think it's it should be in a category of whether you feel like doing it. There should be a reason why you're doing the DNA test.
Exactly.
Maybe it's something
probably
medical,
something that
or
has triggered you to do it.
there is a reason why you're doing it. But I don't think I can wake up
Someone
in
was
the morning. I think
proposing,
a man
remember,
can wake up in the morning and says, you know what, I feel like we should test our kids. Like, who does that?
It's very random.
Yeah, who does?
No, but let me say this.
But if there is a reason why they should go and have, and it's no wonder, I didn't even know that lab is under Ministry in the Internal
But it's not even the only lab that does that. There are private institutions that.
Yes, there are also private institutions, but government is cheaper.
Bringing it out.
Is it?
Yeah, it's cheaper to them.
But let me also add this, guys.
Just a minute, Felix. There were members of parliament, a group, and I think they're still pushing for this. They're saying every child born, there must be a DNA test.
And what was their reasoning?
Do they have any substantial reason as to why they were saying what they were saying?
That's entirely private transaction that you can't make public. But also, let me say this without fear of contradiction. Third world countries and majorly primitive countries, by far also poor countries, struggle with a lot of infidelity as families, adultery as families, and that's why you have such discussions. But also, the poor perception that is attached to existence of families has led many women make decisions in the ideal thought of saving their marriages. In fact, there have also been assertions that out of families, at least out of 10 families, at least 3 of them, if not 5, have these challenges of infidelity that later on lead to children.
We may actually go with the latter because the numbers are going
Thank
higher.
you.
About like
Thank you. I
5 years.
was just fearful to mention the fact, but actually,
you know what? I have just said it. It's a reality. We're just going to
so when Robert brings in that notion, it's a sad reality.
Yeah.
Well,
It's
there
a
are
sad
very
reality.
many
And it has
realities.
consequences.
Of course.
Just so people know, it has
I wouldn't
consequences.
take children.
Very
DNA,
many
no matter
realities
what.
that are here.
Tell me that after 5 years.
And we never like the realities, but we
Yeah.
actually have
Shock
to
of a
confess
lifetime.
to face. DNAs have been the talk of the town for the last couple of months, and I was wondering why all of a sudden it's just popping up. It's everywhere, but there is also reason as to why it's actually being talked about.
So what do we do, Philomena?
So that will be a conversation
Singer
for another
Philomena.
day.
What do we do?
For now, we'll go into our local
You tell
stories.
Philo-
If you missed the bullet
We're from
yesterday, local stories, international stories. Although, if my husband asked to take our children for DNA, tell you what, we will go. Absolutely. If I had the children, we would go.
Well,
I wouldn't.
that is easier said.
We will we'll look at the local
Tell us
stories
when you're
right
married.
now.
Don't worry.
You're looking into camera and people
Yes,
these.
absolutely.
Just so city
I am
tycoon out
not
of
second guessing
25
what I
man
said.
had-
I am not being skeptical about
Robert
it.
is
I'm real
recording
sure.
you. Be there.
Yes, and I
Yes.
will post that and say, you know why make an alarm? A city tycoon had
Well,
25 children, 10 are not his.
Can you imagine?
Well, yes.
But how bad can women be? Let's also talk
10.
about that. Seriously.
Like I say, this conversation is going to be
Fear
for
women.
another day, but for
Philo,
today
Philo,
we'll look
don't
into the local
rush.
stories.
Fear
Robert,
women.
The first
please,
story is
let's go
about
through the
DNA.
local
It's
story.
The first story is still about DNA.
Well, let me take it to wishing the president quick recovery from the big team in the morning. We are with you, Yoba Zukuru, and we wish you the best and quick recovery, our Jaja. Now, Minister of State for Kampala, Kabuye Chofate Ogavye, and other political leaders in Kampala City have convened to State House, Nakasero, to pray and wish the president quick recovery after he declared himself to have tested positive of COVID-19. The president's principal private secretary, Dr. Omona Kenneth, appreciated the team for expressing solidarity to the president and pledged to deliver the card with the message to him.
Now, members of the arts and culture sector did convene at National Theatre to pay the last respect to the fallen artist and politician Paul Kato Rugwama. The body of the former Rubaga South Member of Parliament who died last week did lie yesterday at the theatre. Now, a stage has been erected theatre where several artists did also make performances. Minister of Gender Betty Among and Prime Minister Robin Anabanja and the legendary film directors Charles Senkubuge did also join mourners at the National Theatre. Now, he will be buried on Wednesday at his ancestral home in Nkozi, Mawokota in Mpigi district.
And moving on, police have suspended 13 of its officers due to their unprofessional conduct during the raid on Sheikh Yunus Kamoga's residence, which was suspected of housing an illegal rehabilitation center in Kawempe, Tula. As a result of the operation, at least 17 individuals out of the 45 unlawfully found at the center have successfully been reunited with their parents.
More than 180 Congolese individuals have crossed the border into Uganda following an alleged attack by the ADF Allied Democratic Forces on the village in Kisindi, Congo. The attack resulted in the loss of lives, although the exact number of casualties is yet to be confirmed. Now, in response to the incident, there have been reports of abductions, prompting the Ugandan People's Defense Forces to actively pursue the attackers who are fleeing from the offensive launched by the UPDF in Ituri, DRC.
Crossing over to the international stories, Silvio Berlusconi, the Italian former prime minister who overcame various scandals to hold office 4 times, has died at 86. Now, he died at the San Raffaele Hospital in Milan. In April, he was treated for a lung infection linked to leukemia, and Berlusconi's death leaves a huge void, Italy's defense minister said, with a national day of mourning due to take place on Wednesday. The longest-serving prime minister in post-war Italy, he had bounced back from sex scandals and corruption cases. After taking political office in 1994, the billionaire media tycoon led 4 governments until 2011, though not consecutively. Last September, his centre-right Forza Italian party went into coalition under right-wing Prime Minister Giorgia Meloni. Mourners at the funeral of an elderly Ecuadorian woman were startled to discover she was still alive. Bella Montoya, 76, was declared dead last week following a suspected stroke. 5 hours into her wake on Friday, relatives preparing to change her clothes ahead of the burial found her gasping air. Miss Montoya is now back in hospital in intensive care, and Ecuador's health ministry has set up a committee to investigate the incident. In a statement, the ministry said that the woman went into cardiorespiratory arrest. A loss of breathing and heart function did not respond to resuscitation. The doctor on duty confirmed her death. Her son, Gilbert Rodolfo Balberan Montoya, was quoted by local media as saying that his mother had been admitted around 9, and at noon a doctor told me she died.
Now, more than 45 people have been killed in an attack on a camp for internally displaced persons in the northeastern Democratic Republic of Congo, according to the United Nations peacekeeping mission there. The attack, which occurred on Sunday evening into Monday morning, is believed to have been perpetrated by fighters belonging to a coalition of militia groups called the Cooperative for the Development of Congo. Now, the fighters massacred vulnerable displaced people at the Lara displacement site in Jugu territory, the UN said. The site is located 5 kilometers from Bule, the site of a UN peacekeeping base. Codeco claims to protect the Lendu community from another ethnic group, the Hema, as well as the DRC's army. In climate news, hurricanes have become a symbol for climate change and a Larry calling for action. Scientists still debate how climate affects hurricanes, but they know a lot more about the storms. As NASA puts it, Earth's atmosphere and oceans have warmed significantly in the recent decades, and a warming ocean creates a perfect cauldron for brewing tempests because hurricanes are fueled by heat in the top layers of the ocean. Now, oceans warm earlier in the spring, allowing storms to form before the official season begins on June 1st, as happened in the 2020's record-setting hurricane season with tropical storms Arthur and Betha in May. Hurricanes are intensifying faster and dropping more rain because of global warming. Their destructive power persists longer after reaching land, increasing risks to communities further inland that may be unprepared for devastating winds and flooding, according to research published in 2020 in the journal Nature.
Well, looking at some more stories coming in from our dailies, the Daily Monitor. Felix, what's happening over there?
The big headline, students must be given milk, government orders again. Do you want to be a student again?
Healthy feeding.
Do you want to go back to school?
Maybe. Yeah. Free
Well,
milk.
Uganda, China starts a list of shillings 44 billion projects to boost farming. Okay. Now let's look at Amani, the 8-year-old ecologist. Now, more men seeking DNA tests for children, still in the Daily Monitors. Now, police recover gun used in killing of a paralegal in City. And Chambade was a genius of the game. Now deals at various institutions. And of course, many, many more stories in regards to what's happening in Uganda.
Well, get yourself a copy of the Daily Monitor. Much later on, we'll be sharing you some of the top stories that are trending in the New Vision, the East, and the other papers across the East African region. So do stay tuned for that. For now, we'll go for a break and a song of the day. When we return, we'll be having some more conversation in the newsreel. And much later on, we'll be looking into the updates coming in from weather and also giving you a picture of what the roads look like and why there are very many issues happening on the road with Mollen over there. And later on, we'll be progressing to the agenda. Exciting discussions we'll be having right there. It's Good Morning Uganda. We will return right after this.
Live from UBC Studios in Kampala. This is Good Morning Uganda.
Well, good morning, Uganda. Today is a Tuesday and the 13th of June 2023. My name is Philomena. Mastiko. It's great to have you join us this early morning, but also it's a very special Tuesday, International Albinism Awareness Day. Well, a day created to understand and also to educate ourselves, not just as a country, but as the globe, and to also battle the discrimination that is pushed forwards these special group of people. But away from that, to also notify ourselves and also understand how we can be able to help them, and also to understand that they can actually live their best of lives without any hindrances, but also as a society to be accommodative towards all the needs that they need to ensure that they're comfortable. Well, the main celebrations here in Uganda will be happening in Jinja, and much later on, of course, we'll be happy to have one of our special guests take us through the achievements of the albinos in Uganda here, and also take us through some of the challenges they do come across as, again, a special category of people. But we are celebrating them today. And if you have a friend or you know someone, maybe it's a time for you to actually get to understand them, some of their challenges, relate to them, and find out how they are doing. Well, away from that, a lot is still happening, and of course we'll be taking you through some of all these stories. Myself and Robert Kirabo Nyonyintono here, Mollen, Kenyena, and Felix Nkunda. Speaking of which, Felix, good morning. How are you doing?
Good morning, Philo. How are you?
I'm great. I'm great.
How have you been?
Lovely.
Anything new in the domain of your existence?
There is a lot. Every other day there is a lot that is happening, but I mean, it's so hard to, mention. The list is really endless. But as we go by, I'll be sharing. Well,
of course, Tuesday is another. Trust me, it's much better than Monday.
Oh, yes, it is.
I must be honest, and but I can't miss to mention what happened at National Theatre yesterday. I'll be honest, and I think this is quite unique, and it says a lot about how rewarding it is to be hardworking. I can tell you from the stories we heard about the late Honorable Katolubuama, everyone who stood up to say something.
Yes.
It brought us back to the fact that hard work is the best way to live. And majorly, I won't even say a man's life, a man and woman's life, because this may be misunderstood. Honestly, you never get it wrong with hard work and living a full life. Katolubuama was only 52, around 52. They said 52, 50 something. And you can imagine how much he had done. He lived a very large life. And that's a big question for all of us who stay behind. How much have we done with our time on earth? What are we doing with our time on earth? Honestly, I listened to very many people. John Segawa, Abe Muchibi, Honorable Nsereko, Mariam Ndagire, all of these people who have worked with him.
From the government of Uganda, through the Ministry of Local Government, designed to transform all lives of Ugandans for the better. Kangendeyo kati. Genda yangu wa. PDM, my parish, my development, my life. The Magical Egypt Tour 2023 is here. A heavenly miracle waiting across the natural and divine attractions of Egypt, such as Cairo, Giza Pyramids, Saqqara, Memphis, and many more that will offer the gift of a lifetime. The chance to unlock all of the hidden powers of mind and soul, gain the enlightenment of the past and the future, and develop the power of healing. Departure will be Friday 16th up to 23rd June 2023. Basic package starting at $1,200, 8 days and 7 nights. To register, come to Gotove Tours and Travel at Nalkwego Complex Suta, UG16, George Street, Nakasero, or call +256 758 530 059 or +256 784 568 392 or WhatsApp +256 782 556 078. Only few slots are left. Powered by UBC Television.
This is the University of Africa. On the streets, you get your real education. Here, everybody has a degree of something. But the most important qualification is imagination. Her reason to imagine is slay. His reason is to be the GOAT. Theirs is to take the beat and make it lit. They want to test edgy until it is fire. Their reason for imagination is to add riz in style. Her reason to imagine is finesse. And hers is to find what's new and bussin'. So no matter what your situation, just use your imagination.
Juko. Yo.
Wachiko. Check the shopping, man. What's your secret?
Uganda, haven't you heard of the parish development model PDM?
Yes, I did, but I thought it was just a talk.
No, Sebatia. It is real. I and a few friends together formed a circle, accessed money from the PDM, invested in a portrait project, and now things are moving.
Juko. I thought I was one of your friends.
You are.
But you left me behind.
I didn't leave you in poverty. What you do, just visit your LC2 chairperson and your parish chief and start the process of economic transformation. Just like that. The parish development model is an initiative from the government of Uganda through the Ministry of Local Government designed to transform all lives of Ugandans for the better. PDM, my parish, my development, my life.
Bigirwa Kalisa Samuel is my name, Chief Administrative Officer, Kalio District Local Government. Kalio District currently runs a budget of 39 billion. So we basically implement central government funded projects and initiatives. There are a number of success stories we have registered over the past period, especially in health under UGIFT, that's the Uganda Intergovernmental Fiscal Transfer Project, where we built a 650 million health center 3 at Uganda sub-county. It is a state-of-the-art project which is not likely to be elsewhere in the country. The other project we have to reckon with is the Bukamba City Secondary School, which we are going to commission very soon, costing about 1.9 billion Uganda shillings. And then we have also other projects in production and marketing under the Marketing Production and Marketing Grant. And these include the 4-acre model farm initiative of the president. We have fisheries, fish farming. So government has basically invested a lot of infrastructure, a lot of funding in infrastructure development. And these projects are starting to bear fruits. We are moving as a local government, implementing government programs, basically the NRM government manifesto of His Excellency.
Amaina ndina abiri Jennifer okuva mwero si ekigusa ekyaganibwa muterere town council we bwatuuka nga ndi kunika business kange kano nalinako nga amaani matono ino Aye nawuliriza nsaze magezi ki ka business kankano okweyongeramu. Abaye mulango ogwaida gwa gavumenti nti eriyo emyoga gyamba abantu kusitula buli muntu mbeera y'abatalimu. Najayo kirungi nali leader najira mu group y'aba leaders nafunayo obusente naida nayongera mu ka business kange kano. Era nigano mukaganire nga nikano bwe kali kati kiyambisa bubi yambisa bulungi nga bwe muli kugibona. Sente zino nadifuniye mu nga bwe ndi kubakobera danga siisa mu kuba business yange bwe yali kibweri yeyongeiremu. Sente zino dangasa kale nze basebo mbebaza ba programu ye mwatuleetamu nebaza nti kabiri banange we buli awo kyongero nga muli kumbona nkayenda bwende wale nali wansi ayi kabiri butindizie kuku waigulu.
As Gulu District Farmers Association, in 2 districts of Mollen and Gulu, 14,300 farmers benefited from this project, whereby if you go to that link of Gulu District Farmers Association, you have all the details of the number of farmers who have been benefiting from this project. One thing Gulu District Farmers Association benefited from this project called Prelno, it has strengthened the extension system of the DFA, or the Gulu District Farmers Association, whereby there were capacity building of each of the staff, the one in Gulu, the one in Moro. Before this farmer group, I also benefited from this project, whereby, particularly for me, the other achievement I made, because in fact, I think all in all, I could say the luckiest, to me particularly in my achievement, because I finished my university in 2020. Immediately I came for Prelno. So I understood every structure, what's all about in Prelno, whereby I had to achieve. I constructed also a house home, I also had a bull, whereby they hope my museum from home for client. So that's briefly what I can say. Thank you so much.
Amaina gange ndi namaganda Mariamu Monda myoga jaida emyoga ejitandika okuida nafunamu esente bampa yakakaira ke sente bwe bampa akakaira ke sente nayiye ekyokukola nasookera ku mutiere omutiere gwapanga beeyi naguvwako nanoni omwana twagedaga n'amagezi nagema esente edo namuga yaje yagula supeya owebyuma muno pichi ne obugaali guti saaga eno ndi kuyiiya okuleeta ebyuma ebimala ku bwena abakabiri bampaireyo ku esente nakoba okunoonya y'abaana babeegeresenga gano okukanika ki pichi era bali kujja mpolampola nga bakanika era esente bwe tunaaba tudifuna nenda kwongera mu maani mu sente bwena abandifunye twongeremu ntewo bizinensi emala nenda okwebaza gavumenti egiira okutulowoozaako niife abagansi mu kyalo okufuna esente kuba twalinga n'esente nga tulumukira mu banka bugiri butige baida ku nomba ngeno najayo ku baida ku nomba baida kutaku bigandiiko aye dino tutwalayo mpola nenda okwebaza gavumenti olw'okulowooza ku nsonga eyo mukama abawa omukisa.
Pick of the day on UBC. Was brought to you by
Get away with MTN Momo Advance. Momo Advance tops up your Momo to complete your transactions. Dial *165*5*3# to apply. MTN Momo Advance is always available when you need it.
The Magical Egypt Tour 2023 is here. A heavenly miracle waiting across the natural and divine attractions of Egypt, such as Cairo, Giza Pyramids, Saqqara, Memphis, and many more that will offer the gift of a lifetime. The chance to unlock all of the hidden powers of mind and soul, gain the enlightenment of the past and the future, and develop the power of healing. Departure will be Friday 16th up to 23rd June 2023. Basic package starting at $1,200, 8 days and 7 nights. To register, come to Gotove Tours and Travel at Nalkwago Complex Suta, UG's Extender, George Street, Nakasero, or call +256 758 530 059 or +256 784 568 392 or WhatsApp +256 782 556 078. Only few slots are left. Powered by UBC Television.
This is the University of Africa. On the streets, you get your real education. Here, everybody has a degree of something. But the most important qualification is imagination. Her reason to imagine is slay. His reason is to be the GOAT. Theirs is to take the beat and make it lit. They want to test edgy till it is fire. Their reason for imagination is to add riz in style. Her reason to imagine is finesse. And hers is to find what's new and bussin'. So no matter what your situation, just use your imagination.
This is Good Morning Uganda.
Good morning. Good morning, Uganda. Welcome to the agenda. This a very specific moment. Well, it is the 13th of June 2023. My name is Philomena Mastiko. Well, like I did talk about it earlier on, today is not just any ordinary Tuesday. It is International Albinism Awareness Day, a day that the UN took off and decided that the entire world needs to observe and understand what albinism is, but also go ahead and appreciate the people with albinism, this condition around the world, not just in the country, but also to educate ourselves to understand what it means to have this condition, and also how best we can support people that are in this condition. Well, this year's theme is very actually interesting, and again more relatable to what happened, to the theme we rather had last year. Well, this year's theme is inclusion is strength. Now we are looking at ensuring the inclusion of the voices of persons with albinism in all sectors, and they would want to be represented equally, and again as it should be. So we are aiming at having the voices heard all over the country in all sectors being fully and efficiently represented. Well, this year's main celebrations here in Uganda are going to be happening in Jinja City, and much later on, of course, we'll be bringing you more on these celebrations. But this morning, of course, joined by the gentlemen, Robert and Felix, we'll be looking at this albinism here in Uganda and the people under this. It's very interesting, and I'm very happy that last week you had quite a very insightful and meaningful conversation with some of the people with the albinism condition, Robert. But again, from your view, do you think, again, going according to the theme, do you feel like that we have represented people with albinism in Uganda efficiently and equally?
Well, I must say there's still so much that has to be done, because even some people with this condition do not understand who they are. That is something funny that I got when I was interacting with them, that even many of them don't understand who they are. They're asking themselves, what is this? Yet, this is a condition where just it affects your skin pigment and your sight. Because a person with this condition, first we must understand that for you to be born with this condition, I want to call it a condition because it's not a disability. For you to be born with this condition, both your parents must have recessive genes that give birth to a person of this condition. Many times people blame the woman and say, oh, your muchala, this or this man. No. These genes are recessive, not active genes. So this is something that is genetic, I must say. So if I am with this condition, my children, I may give birth when my wife doesn't have those genes, and none of my kids has that condition. But because my kids have been born by me, my grandchildren, if one meets a partner with these genes, they will give birth. Two, they might give birth to someone with such a condition. However, this is something in Africa and in third world countries, like Felix usually says, that has been misunderstood and associated to various myths.
Yes.
Like wealth, that well, if you bring this, then you get wealth. And in some countries, most of our brothers here in Tanzania, you find that these are even hunted in some parts. Because
for witchcraft
purposes.
Yes.
So first, that's why we made them. When you come back here, people will tell you these people don't die. They just disappear. So there has been first a lot of myth associated to this condition. And this has blinded the ability for people to get right information about this. So that's the biggest challenge, that as you're carrying out sensitization, there is someone who has had something over and over and believes it is the truth. The parent, the grandfather, the people in society have told him that. Now, what happens to a young child who is born with that condition, and in the entire family, he has never seen anyone with it? You know, when he goes to school, there's stigma. There's still so much stigma. Some families even hide them. Now I was speaking to one of the members in the albino umbrella in Uganda, that is Fiona, I've forgotten the name. He told me that in some parts of this country, because they used to hide these people, when they would die, they would go to a river and dump them there. That is where that thing came, that Namago itafa abura bubuzi. Because the families that used to have them, by then, because of the fear, because of the shame, they would just deal with them away, and that is where this thing came. So, we've not done enough awareness, and it is estimated, though not accurate, that we have about 20,000 people in Uganda living with this condition. In a population of about 45 million, you have about 20, but they tell you these are not accurate because there are no statistics from Uganda Bureau of Statistics, and they call upon government to give them a very clear number, but they believe it's much higher than that. Now, rejection is one of the challenges that they face. Myth that you're going to go into a place and people are not seeing you as human as them.
Yes.
Some will see you as a supernatural being. Some may see you as a less of a human being. So with that, it doesn't bring them so much to be thought of in many spheres. And that is one of the biggest challenges that you find when you talk about this. So we haven't done enough as far as sensitization is concerned. We've not done enough as far as protection. It is them fighting for their space.
Well, it's Good Morning Uganda and International Albinism Awareness Day. That is where the discussion is leading, looking more, of course, deeply at the albinism, the albinos community. How best can we actually help them, especially when it comes to including them, having a broad spectrum of platforms where we can have discussions about them, with them, and they can continue letting us know how this can actually be done. And of course, this year's theme definitely running on inclusivity being a strength, being a total element of the strength that we are looking at empowering them with. And this year's theme actually highlights a couple of things. Number one, including a broad spectrum of persons with albinism in albinism-related discussions, including youth. We're looking at women, looking at children, older persons, and persons with albinism of all races and ethnic backgrounds, but also collaborating and embracing albinism with the disability movement and in other sectors where decisions affect persons with albinism, and also seeking synergies with human rights groups and other groups from outside the albinism movement. Everyone definitely is welcome to actually be part of this conversation and let us know how best we can do or educate ourselves as a society to understand what this condition is and also be able to freely engage with these people. I would do encourage you, of course, to make use of all our social media platforms. Let us know, get into our Twitter, #UBCGMU, and also go ahead, make use of our WhatsApp platform number 0709-602-592. How well do you know this topic? Well, this morning we're also very happy to be joined by Joseph Mbabazi, who will also be giving us more insights about people with albinism here in Uganda, again in regards to the conversations we have been having. Joseph, thank you so much for joining us this morning.
Thank you very much.
How are you doing?
I'm doing well. First of all, I'd like to apologize for the late coming. Yeah, everything is fine.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Well, you couldn't have been more timely. We were having a discussion here, of course, inside of the International Albinism Awareness Day. Yes. And we believe this is a topic that we all need to engage ourselves in as Ugandans and also across the globe, as we know that the United Nations also did put this day into place to recognize this group of people. Well, very happy to have you here, and I'm very excited to hear some of the insights that you'll be sharing with us, and maybe getting straight into it. We would love to know what are some of the challenges that are being faced by, especially looking at the Ugandans here in our country, people with albinism. What are some of the challenges they are going through?
Well, we have several challenges that persons with albinism are facing in Uganda. Some have been improved briefly, but others are still existing. One is we face a big problem, especially when it comes to employment. We have that kind of, I don't know what word I can phrase, this kind of discrimination. They think persons with albinism can't do what other black people are doing. So we have problems to employment. Some of them are facing traditional problems, like in villages. They think there are things, okay, we have traditional myths, like abalongo, like that's how they say most cases.
Yes.
They say people with persons with albinism are twins, so they don't die, they disappear, you know, that kind of stigma in society. And then, even in schools, by the way, in schools, like during the time when I was in school, we did not have this chance of having, for instance, being favored, being given extra time in class, or during examinations like UNEB, printing examinations in different fonts wasn't there by then. We could struggle and try our best to make sure that we be at the same level with other black students. But there are very, very many challenges that we face. Just mentioned a few, but there are very many.
Okay. Now also help us understand, when we talk about albinism, what is this condition? What is it all about? Because like you said, there's a lot of myths. People misunderstand. Help the public understand.
Yeah. Okay, when we talk about albinism, especially those who have gone to school that have studied genetics, like there's a topic in O-level, genetics, whereby during mutation, the genes, or during mutation there's a gene that is responsible for the color, like there's a pigment called melanin, and if it fails to develop during mutation, automatically the skin turns to white. It doesn't have melanin. Melanin is that black pigment that gives the black color. So absence of melanin brings that condition called albinism. Albinism is not just like a disease or an illness, it's just a condition whereby the melanin fails to develop in the skin and it becomes black. And that's how...
Is it genetic, like is it hereditary or...?
Yeah, it's genetic. Okay, like it's recurrent. For instance, somebody can be a carrier, like me, I have kids, but my kids are black. That means I'm not a carrier. Or I'm not a carrier, or even the partners have been...
don't have the recessive gene.
Yeah. Yes. They don't have the recessive gene, so it cannot appear. But maybe it can appear after some long time, like either my grandchildren, it may end up appearing in them, or grandchildren's children. I don't know how I can say the lineage, but that's it.
Okay.
So it appears that way.
Okay. The other day, Robert, we were having a conversation again about how government definitely could be contributing or could be helping out, or what they need to do. And specifically, we're having a conversation about the sunscreen, as again amongst other challenges, where we saw the union, the albinism union or umbrella, they were coming out to complain about the extra, or the fees, the testing fees to be very specific, that were being put on some of the sunscreens that are imported into the country. Now, we very well know that government scraped off the taxes that should be imposed on these sunscreens, but we also know that UNBS came out to actually charge extra fees, what they call testing fees on this. Now, these fees range from 20,000 to 400,000. Now, if you're looking at the well-being of people with albinism here, we definitely want everyone to be able to access. But one of the challenges here is that these are too expensive. Yes. Could you just give us more info on that? Because it's a big complaint. We have been talking about it, and definitely it would be better to hear it from, again, the right source.
Okay. These sunscreens, well, they're expensive, like you have said, or like they are. But we were looking at a plan of giving us the ingredients as Uganda, whereby we can begin manufacturing sunscreens in Uganda here. Like we had a plan whereby they were supposed to have those ingredients for making the sunscreens, and then we begin having them in Uganda here, but at a lower subsidized price. Because basically we rely on donations. These sunscreens come from out of the country. So they're just donated to us, and that's why we've been having issues with coming into the country. And now it's a little going to be difficult because UN is, I think, rolling out. It's been one of our greatest funder as Albinism Umbrella. There's an association called Albinism Umbrella, an NGO.
Yes.
So UN has been doing the biggest funding. Actually, it is the International Awareness Day, but the funding is limited. UN is not funding it this time like it has always been doing. So it's also becoming a challenge after passing that anti-gay bill, and UN is now rolling out of this. So it's going to be a little challenging.
Okay.
Now, let's understand, if these are imported into the country, what appeal, apart from giving you the raw materials, which may also be another thing to discuss and debate, because if someone is manufacturing something, then giving rights and all that may become a problem. How best do you think government can still come in and assist? Because this is one of the major challenges that any albinos will face.
Okay, government, it's just self-explanatory and clear. If the government really cares about it, persons with albinism, and it knows that our well-being is based on the sunscreens because it protects us from the ultraviolet rays from the sun. Those rays, the ones that are harmful to our skins, that cause the cancer in the long run. So if it is well and it's aware of that, we have representatives in parliament, and they know everything about albinism. My suggestion, or what I expect, is that government should come up and just say there shouldn't be taxes on these people, or it can even cater for those bills itself as government, because it's helping.
Put them on essential medicines.
Yeah, it's not like we used to be those days in we have minimum numbers. People are very many. I know I expect now I'm going to see a large number on TV, like in Masaka, over the persons with albinism. But those days where we could be and you think, am I the only person in the world? Yeah, like me and my family, we are three. I have a brother, I have a sister below me. We are all three persons with albinism.
Okay.
Yeah,
well,
one black.
I love I love the fact that you talk about representation, and you do have representatives in parliament. Again, now that we're talking about inclusivity, do you feel like they have done efficient representation? Aside from knowing that there are people representing these people, do you feel like they have done enough representation? Have they actually forwarded your issues, your challenges, or do you feel like there is still some loopholes that they need to be fulfilled by all these representations at different levels anyway?
Okay, to a small extent, they have tried, but in the past we mixed when they had grouped us under persons with disabilities.
Yes.
So forgetting that when you talk about persons, they see somebody is moving, somebody is seeing and hearing, they say this is not somebody who's disabled. But at least now they've been able to differentiate it from disabilities by saying PWOs, persons living with albinism, also have as a disability. So this is going to help out in a way that inclusion, like for instance, look at UBL as a company has come up, which has tried to do several things and employing some persons with albinism, and then look at some companies, but it's not, to a small extent, it hasn't really done much, because the people in parliament, we're just trying our best to get those rights and how we can move as persons with albinism, but we are still down, because even I myself, I'm not employed, I do my own things. So we are not everywhere, we are not. It's still just coming up.
Robert, how more well do you think actually government can come in and support, especially when it comes to policy? We very well know that last year we're trying so hard to ensure actually the albinos came out to seek tougher laws to protect them, and they actually wanted government to scale up, especially when it comes to awareness about the rights of persons living with albinism. And specifically, one of the things that was rolled out was that they're not being protected enough, especially when it comes to the cultural practices. Just a conversation prior to we had before Joseph joined us here. But How more do you think government can actually come in to help them, aside even from the policies? What more can they actually do?
One, knowledge is power.
Very, very powerful.
What is more needed is knowledge, is sensitization. When people have the right knowledge, stigma is false.
Yeah.
People stand up for the rights of those whose rights may not be upheld to the latter. For example, if people have knowledge, then you won't have these cultural sacrifices and all that. If people have knowledge, and we all know that my brother here, to enjoy life to the fullest, a sunscreen is a must. Then you see this parliament just next to us advocate for sunscreens to be put on essential medicines. That if a person with this condition goes to a hospital, they are entitled to get this free of charge. Or at least government says on this regular base, maybe after 3 months, we offer each person this amount of sunscreens. Because we are aware, we have the right information. Policies can be there, laws can be there, but as long as people don't have the right knowledge and the awareness, all these may not yield. Today, hundreds are going to gather in Masaka to celebrate this day. But how many people in Masaka, when they see vans and buses going to this venue, have the right perception, rather than just saying, come and see as many as you see? You get it?
Yes.
How many people have the right perception? Those that are going to, I just told you before that even many children born with such a condition don't even themselves understand it.
Yes, they don't know.
He's just given us the best explanation. Yeah. A child just asks, but Daddy, why am I different from the rest? Even the father doesn't know what to answer. Even the grandparent doesn't know what to answer. Then there will come one who will say, but we had in our family a great Jaja, now he has resurrected through you. And these are facts.
Yeah.
He has resurrected through you. My mother had a sister, now this, and then he has resurrected. All the gods are speaking, things like that. So when you still have such, good policies cannot work. Good regulatory systems or legal framework cannot work. Look at HIV/AIDS. Why we are doing fairly is because people got the right knowledge. Now a person knows that HIV/AIDS is not a death sentence. You don't see a man killing a wife because of HIV, because they got the right information. People now go to clinics and get their drugs. People come out and even confess, I'm HIV positive. This can happen to anyone, anytime, but however, do this and this. So that is what we need.
Well, I also just believe that the sensitization shouldn't only be kept to the people who don't have this condition, but even to the albinos that don't understand what they're going through, so that they actually know their rights. They can actually demand for their rights from the point of knowledge. They actually know what they deserve. Well, as we're coming close to the end of this, Joseph, what would be your final shots today?
Okay, fine. I would like to thank UBC for inviting me here to talk about this, especially about myself, and to make it just like persons albinism, about myself. And I'd like to urge the general public, especially entrepreneurs and HRs, bosses of different enterprises, not to take us for granted because we have the brains, we are going to school. Actually, most of the persons albinism now are educated, not like those days where they could hide us behind because of how we look, and then most of us are educated, we are graduates, and but still there's that problem. Somebody says, they feel it's difficult to handle us. How will I handle this? How will I do this? They're delicate, you might not do this. Yet we do everything.
Yes.
Yeah, for instance, so I would like to urge them to at least have another thought about persons with albinism, that they are as normal as any other person, though there's this effect of the short-sightedness. Of course, that's it's general in persons with albinism. It causes unconditional movement of the eyes, and then vision is always low. It's not. So they should take us like any other person and then encourage also other persons with albinism not to just sit back. Let them try their best to get to where they're supposed to be, because the brain's disability is not inability. So this is just color, but there are many things we can do. For instance, one person met me somewhere riding in town. It's like, you even ride a motorcycle. I have a permit, a class A permit. But it's like, do you see where you're going? I'm like, no, how am I moving?
Yes.
You know, those are the questions people ask. And I'm like, yeah, I see. Even I pass traffic officers and I see everything. And I'm like, okay. So I'm trying to add the community at large, especially employers, please. Try your best to look into somebody's document. Don't look at somebody's appearance. Look at somebody's eligibility. That's I can, you know, in Uganda sometimes I mix it up. So that's what I add to entrepreneurs. And for my colleagues out there who have gone to Masaka, would wish them a lovely celebration for the International Albinism Awareness Day. And then others also around. Thank you very much, Obese.
All right, thank you so much, Joseph. Well, remember that the ultimate goal here is to beat discrimination. Equal opportunities must be availed to each and every Ugandan, especially if they deserve these opportunities. We also have to beat the stigmatization that dominates most of our societies and communities here. Well, we want to leave it here, but we have more updates coming in on weather and climate, plus traffic updates from Mollen here on Good Morning Uganda. We'll be back shortly.
This is Good Morning Uganda.
Pick of the day on UBC. Was brought to you by
Gatawo with MTN Momo Advance. Momo Advance tops up your Momo to complete your transactions. Dial *165*5*3# to apply. MTN Momo Advance is always available when you need it.
When you talk about our motherland Uganda, the pearl of Africa, you cannot fail to smile because of the smile that fills the faces of the citizens. Our nice good weather and nature that sustains us all, that enables us all to continue each in their own way, because we are all different even according to each individual's work. But what joins us to become one person is the sweetness from the flavored drink Alleluia Jingati drink and Alleluia Tamarind drink. The flavor that quenches your thirst while at the same time treating and healing your body, because it is 100% natural. Enjoy the drink that has got the tamarind juice in it. Made by Alleluia Reflexology, Healthy Solutions and Nutritional Research Center Limited. Get yourself a bottle of Alleluia from all shops around.
Eyange irisiti tompa bidara irisiti ojja kumpa irisiti tompa bidara irisiti ojja kumpa
tompa bidala mpa irisiti yange kyekyo kakasa nti ofuna irisiti yo kubanga etiketi kw'onoowangulira ebirabo ssemalabo omuli zipikipiki laptops zifridge ne safari y'abagala n'ababiri okulambulako mu Uganda ku bwereere. Irisiti yo gikuba ekifaananyi okiteeka ku URL website oba ku mobile app ofuuka obukuba nnamukisa gy'okoma okuteekayo irisiti ennyingi n'emikisa gye gy'okuwangula gye gikoma okweyongera. Ebisingawo bisange ku mikutu gyaffe egy'okumutimbagano.
Uganda Revenue Authority, developing Uganda together.
Live from UBC Studios in Kampala. This is Good Morning Uganda.
Yes, good morning, Uganda. Yet again, we're here to take you through more information, what you need to know on everyday basis. And this morning, we're talking about safety on the roads. We want to look at, if you're talking about how to be safe, we're looking at both the drivers, the pedestrians, everyone who uses the road. And thankfully for us this morning, we have someone who has been really at this for quite a long time, celebrating 40 years of experience when it comes to training drivers. And that should mean something, especially when it comes to the drivers, how they do with contribution to the safety on the roads. But also, we know that most of the notorious ones actually are responsible for most of the accidents that we've been to. Many thanks for joining us, Mr. Tamale, this morning. We're very glad that we have you to talk about road safety. First of all, we want to understand, we talk about accidents happening on a daily, and most of that we usually blame the drivers. But throughout your experience in training, what do you think would be the general cause of people not driving well on the roads, but also a contribution towards the accidents that we see on the roads?
Yeah. Thank you very much. My name is Tamale Wilson, Director, Country View Driving School since 1983. I think accidents are happening every second. Accidents are happening every minute and every hour. We lose a person every hour, and also we have serious accidents every minute, and also minor accidents every second. People are driving recklessly. This happens to all road users, ranging from pedestrians, cyclists, motorcyclists, and drivers of different classes of vehicles. But you ask me why these people make accident, why crash? There are many effects to that. Number one, people are not trained. That is number one. People don't consider other road users. People are not disciplined. People don't know what they are doing on the road, and actually they don't understand what they should do on the road. Number one,
but
they
as
have
a trainer
to follow,
as well,
yes.
and I'm glad you're bringing that out, but as a trainer,
Yes,
you know that there are some basics that any driver should know. For example, we talk about overtaking,
Yes.
overspeeding. So what is your experience with these particular topics?
Yeah, more especially if you talk about accident causation factors, you talked about overtaking, speed as well. People drive speed. You know that speed kills. But let's talk about overtaking. People drive recklessly, and people should understand why should they overtake. Overtaking is an accident causation, and actually it is very dangerous and hazardous. If people are not patient, if people don't change their ways of driving, if people don't look after their vehicles, if people don't really drive the speed needed at a certain place, that one is a problem to all road users.
And then at the end of the day, that's
Yes.
when we're seeing more cases. Just recently, the police report just came out also indicating that we do have more accident cases, especially when you look at the highways. People take this for granted, and that's how we end up with most of the accidents that come through. But as we want to conclude this, what would be the ultimate solution tips, at least to make sure that you talked about training, which is key, and at one point we were even arguing that maybe we are taking raw people into the roads, and most of them are not trained. But adding to that, what else can be done to ensure that we really have safe road users, and especially the drivers?
Yeah. What I can say to this, people should know that many diseases kill us, but driving and using roads is finishing us. People who are using different types of transport, ranging from motorcycles, like I said, and all drivers of roads, people are doing things, children and other things. People have to know that roads are very dangerous. We came with our topic today, like we said, overtaking. Now, people don't consider that. People should ask themselves, why should they overtake? Now, where should they overtake? People overtake because of many reasons. Number one, people think about money. People think about doing other things. But if you consider the lives of other road users, you shouldn't do that. Now, where should people overtake? Now, people shouldn't overtake at very dangerous places. Now, like black spots. If I talk about black spots, I talk about bends, you know, hill bros, bridges, and junctions.
So these are all skills that drivers should be learning in training schools.
Yes.
But it doesn't seem like everyone gets it though, because oftentimes you see people cross, even at you know, children crossing and all that, people still going on and on. So I think ultimately we need to find solutions to make sure that trained people are using the roads, but also more of the campaigns that can be done right from maybe the training schools, but also from the side of police and traffic. But for you as the people in training schools, what is your take, or what would be your last advice to the road users, to the drivers? What basics should they emphasize?
Yeah, I would say that when you are using the road, you have to be very, very careful, because there are many reasons why somebody could make a crash or accidents. People have to look after their vehicles, check their vehicles before they start any trip. Drivers, please, make sure you are in your very good, you know, mood. Don't drive if you are not healthy, if you are not sober. Don't come to the road if really you have stress. If you are sick, don't use the road. Don't drive recklessly. Don't overload your vehicle. Make sure you just budget, make your trip. If you know that I'm going somewhere, I'm did it at such and such a time, and the stretch is this kilometers, then I plan my journey. Not to be impatient. Yes. So always make sure you plan your trips. Make sure that you understand where you are going, the road surface, the weather change, and also everything concerning our roads. More especially, you must know what you are taking. Are you driving people? Are you driving goods? All those things you have to think about when you are using our roads.
Well, there you have it. That is Tamale Wilson. He is the director for Country View Driving School, and of course emphasizing road safety. That is something that all Ugandans should be aware of, and we're glad that you were here this morning to actually take us through this. But also away from that, we want to look at what is happening today, especially when it comes to the weather updates. We'll be tapping in from the satellites and see what you should know that is happening across the country right now. We're seeing more cloudy weather developing, that is across eastern Uganda, as well as parts of the Elgon region, that is areas of Mbale, Tororo. We're also looking at Palisa, Pulisa. We're looking at more rains developing later over that area, and also for parts of the Karamoja region. We did start off with quite a chilly morning over there. It looks like we also have developing clouds, that is indicated by the white colors over there. That should also mean that we might later be dealing with rains. Also, generally, we're having more cloudy weather developing for much of western Uganda, as well as the southwestern part of the country, the Rwenzori area as well. Right now, as we speak, we're also starting to see more clouds developing for the Lake Victoria Basin, and that should also be developing into wet weather activities a little bit later on. We're seeing more systems starting off from the islands of Lake Victoria. But we'll go ahead and look at the forecast for this morning. Just look at the weather that is expected as we head into afternoon, but also in terms of temperatures, what we're likely to be experiencing today. And we're seeing on a general look, we might be having more rainy weather today over the southern sector, and that will be cutting across, also keeping those temperatures a little bit in check. We'll start off with the eastern part of Central, where we have the Luweero, Woblenzi, Bururi, and Kaseke. We're forecasting isolated showers. and those will be starting off at a warm 28 degrees centigrade. Now we're looking at the western part of Lake Victoria Basin, Masaka, Kalisizo, Sembabule and Rakai. We are forecasting a mix of clouds and sunshine. Also, temperatures will be quite up. We are at 28 degrees centigrade. Now the southwestern part of the country, we do have Mbarara, Ibanda, Bushenyi and Rubirizi. We're forecasting a mix of clouds and sunshine, also quite a hot one. We have a 28 degrees centigrade, but that area is expected to pick up in wet weather activities, and that will be later on in the afternoon. And across that is Mount Elgon Island, we are looking at Mbali, Bududa, Buko and Sironko. We're forecasting isolated rains. Those will be coming through as the morning progresses. We already have clouds in the area and also keeping temperatures down. That is at 25 degrees, quite a chilly morning over there. We're also looking at, that is the eastern side of Lake Victoria, where we have Tororo, Busia, Iganga and Jinja. We continue to have rains over that area, and that is the forecast for this morning as well. Temperatures will be quite up. We have 27 degrees, and that is a system that is also likely to persist into the afternoon. Across eastern Uganda, we're looking at Soroti, Katakwi, Amuria and Kumi. We're also forecasting isolated rains that will be across several places. We already have also a cloudy system developing over there that will be bringing in rains, and quite a warm one at 28 degrees centigrade. Now the central part of northern Uganda, that is where we have Adjumani, Gulu, Kitgum and Padel. We're also likely to start off with rains that will be across a few places, also in quite small quantities over there. More rains will be developing over that area, but that is later in the afternoon, starting off warm at 28 degrees centigrade. Now the central part of Lake Victoria Basin, where we have Mukono, Kampala, Entebbe as well as Wakiso, we're forecasting isolated showers that will be across several places coming in mid-morning towards afternoon as well. We do expect that those rains will come through, and a chilly one at 25 degrees centigrade. Now also generally looking at quite a cool one for the southern parts of the country, but most of the rainy systems are likely to develop also later on in the afternoon, much of that being due to the local effects. For example, the effects of Lake Victoria, that usually enhances wet weather activities, yet we've been still talking about a dry condition for much of Uganda, but we do have influences like that still bring in rains. Also for areas like the Mount Elgon region, we still get that effect of the mountain over there that does enhance wet weather activities. Otherwise, we're still looking at reduced wet weather activities for parts of northern Uganda, and we could be looking at a couple of days even then with reduced wet weather activities over there. That does it for this morning. We'll be having Good Morning Uganda agenda that will come in right after this, and then later than that, we'll also be taking you through sports updates. My name is Mollen, Kenyena. I want to wish you a good day.
This is Good Morning Uganda.
Tompa birala mpa irisiti yange kyekyo kakasa nti ofuna irisiti yo kubanga etiketi kw'onoowangulira ebirabo ssemalabo omuli zipikipiki, laptops, zifridge ne safari y'abagalana ababiri okulambulako mu Uganda ku bwereere. Irisiti yo gikuba ekifaananyi okiteeka ku URA website oba ku mobile app, ofuuka obukuba nnamukisa gy'okoma okuteekayo irisiti ennyingi n'emikisa gye gy'okuwangula gye gikoma okweyongera. Ebisingawo bisange ku mikutu gyaffe egy'oku mutimbagano.
Uganda Revenue Authority, developing Uganda together. Pick of the day on UBC.
Was brought to you by Gatawo with MTN Momo Advance. Momo Advance tops up your Momo to complete your transactions. Dial *165*5*3# to apply. MTN Momo Advance is always available when you need it.
seen a number of community members out there that have formed themselves into groups and have identified enterprises, agricultural enterprises, rice and all that, and they've actually been successfully cultivating them. They've gone ahead, the project has gone ahead and also introduced small-scale industries like the rice huller, the grinding mills and all that that are managed by the groups. All these are successes.
Mukoke Fish Farmers Association tuli balunzi ba byananda ebyebika ebisatu omuli Mirakap, tilapia oba engege ni catfish tetwete male. Group eno twatandika twali abantu basatu nga tulingirira obwetaavu obw'ebyenanda oba obw'eiva eno okubona nti tufuna okasente akava mu maadi agali gatambula butambule nga gatubita ku wano ng'ekirabo. Twatandika ni fish pond ndala mu mwaka gw'e2018. Twebaza fisheries officer ni district ya Bugiri babanga batulagirira kusaani fish farm ebwikwe inside day ndeyo twabanga tusobola okufuna kwetusaako obugege obwasooka era mu mwaka ogwali 2020 awo basobola okubanga batuwaayo ebyenanda emitwalo $40 okuva mu operation Werese Creation era okuba yongerezaako emmere yatuweebwa okuva Uganda Poultry Breeders. Twasobola okubanga tusoloza akasente akawerera obukayire nga 42. Twasobola okubanga tubuinvestinga oba okubona nti twongerezaako ku bimu ku bintu bye tukola gano. Twebaza gavumenti yaife okubanga buli saawa efaayo okubanga efe eri Abannayuganda.
Nkwanga Ramazan is my name, the head teacher of this great school, Ikumbia Seed Secondary School. The school has staff room well furnished, administration well furnished, the computer lab well furnished, the library wonderful, the multipurpose hall well furnished. The teachers are also enjoying in the staff quarters. The school has teachers totaling to 28. Ikumbia Seed has embraced the new curriculum. I want to thank the government for that bright idea. There are many students that end up in senior 4 with no document. But with the coming of the IT, the skilled children are going to have certificates in skills as early as senior 3. And that certificate is equivalent to a senior 4 certificate. Ikumbia Seed Secondary School is a very great school that has influenced the lives of people or changed the lives of people of Ikumbia sub-county. I want to thank the parents and the government for this kind of input.
In 2007, a team from Prelna came and they started teaching us how to farm. They began by teaching us about food security, where they educated us to grow cassava and also agribusiness.
This kind of farming, the project also taught us how to sell as a group after finding a market. The support from the project has been so good to us. And its citizens. Infrastructure. One of the components of Prelno is rural livelihoods whose purpose is to enable a higher proportion of farm households who are not yet market-oriented to achieve levels of production that enable them to take advantage of the opportunities offered by the market linkage and infrastructure component.
An kinyeng luane ayet Alice, anti one com per group LSB Adabe Farmer Group.
My name is Ayet Alice. I'm the chairperson of the LSB group, Adabe Farmer Group, located in Lokodi Subward, Bugatira Sub-County. The group started in 2005 with 30 members. 11 members are men and 19 are women. In 2007, a team from Prelna came and they started teaching us how to farm. They began by teaching us about food security, where they educated us to grow cassava and also agribusiness, where we chose seedlings produced for sale, which was rice. In 2009, we started farming LSB on 1 acre of land, where we got 20 bags, about 2.5 tons, which we sold. After the profits, the group purchased 4 ox plows for farming. After that, we expanded the farmland in 2002, and the harvest was good, which was all purchased. After the sale, one of our members that year purchased a cow. As we speak now, the number has increased to 3 under this project, where we acquired knowledge on best farming practices. The way we farm has changed.
Another component of project for the restoration of livelihoods in the northern region is market linkages and infrastructure, where main activities focus on working with economic-oriented groups who have identified business opportunities and profitability as their priority focus. Farmers with surplus crop production receive increased prices and profitability and sell larger volumes of crop products through expanded access to Ugandan and regional markets. My name is Atube Richard, a member of a group called Kanyope, located in Bungatira sub-county. This group started in 2008, but the Prelnol project started supporting us in 2009. The project has offered us training on farming, and the training we got has helped us immensely. We used to farm in a traditional way, planting a variety of crops. But when the team from Prelnor approached us, they asked us to choose particular seeds to grow which can yield very well in our area. We chose groundnuts and rice, which we are growing. With this kind of farming, the project also taught us how to sell as a group after finding a market. For restoration of livelihoods in the northern region or Prelnor.
Live from Now Avenue in UBC Studios. This is Good Morning Uganda.
Thank you so much for joining us once again here on Good Morning Uganda. It is the agenda session. Today, Tuesday, 13th of June 2023. My name is Philomena Mastiko. I'm very happy that you're still sticking with us here on UBC TV. Well, as always, having meaningful discussions in this particular hour, where we'll be very excited to have you partake in it as well. Now, this morning, we will be having a discussion talking about quite a category of very important people in our society, but also looking forward to celebrating them. This morning's discussion will be looking at creating awareness of the World Elder Abuse